Well, good afternoon and good evening. It's Friday, October 9th, and it's 5 to 8, and there's only one thing. It's time for FNR. I'm Scrappy Doo, and I'm very proud to take you through again for another Friday. This time around Silverstone for round 10 and 11 of the FNR Bronze Series race. Watching the car of Gavlar, that Red Bull racing car, which is out front in the Drivers' Championship and in the Constructors. He has been there for a few weeks. Is he going to be there after Silverstone? So as mentioned, Gavlar does lead the Constructors, the Drivers' Championship with his Red Bull compatriot helping him out in the Constructors title, which means Red Bull do have a lead as well over McLaren in the Constructors title. And the Drivers, Gavlar does lead by 12 points to Tristan. Mono is currently in P3. Duat 4, Toonfan 5th and Puppy in 6th. So there's 12 points between first and second, and an additional 20 points between first and third. So actually, first, second and third could easily move around tonight. Now, we do know there have been some issues with PSN Network. That's the reason why there could be a late start today. So I'm going to try and keep you updated as possibly can with that as time goes along. So 13 drivers expected tonight. We were hoping obviously for much more, the full 20 field, but it does look like we're going to have a reduced grid around Silverstone for the bronze event. So I think actually the drivers are going to be happy. The fact that it hasn't been a lot of street tracks recently, of course, on the calendar. Now they are done and dusted. It is time to get some open space. And finally, should we say, actually on Free Practice Friday, it's actually going to be nice to see some cars on track, even virtually, of course, referring of course to the Formula 1, which unfortunately didn't produce any racing. 3 hours of practice, 3 hours of listening to commentators go on, which I'm sure you probably hate that as much as I do. So as the time draws to 2 minutes to 8, we're still waiting for invites to be sent out in the bronze event. No word yet of if there is going to be a delayed start. It does, just reading through something on here, it does look like we might be starting at 8:15 to start slightly later than build. But surely, hopefully, that will give everyone enough time to be able to get into the relevant lobbies and get those PSN network issues sorted. It's quite a beautiful car looking at that Red Bull. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous car. That matte finish on the Red Bull is absolutely stunning, especially in real life. I've seen one at very, very close range, and they're absolute gorgeous pieces of work these F1 cars are. So 50% qualifying, or 50% race today, and we do have a short qualifying period before that, just to keep everyone's appetites going. And see, for a lot of the drivers, of course, the home Grand Prix. So who will a English driver or a British driver actually win the home Grand Prix tonight? That's another unanswered question we'll obviously get a response to within the next couple of hours. Now, flicking through the Constructors titles, so as mentioned, Red Bull do lead it with McLaren in P2, 69 points back. That gap opening up since the last round over in Austria. The AlphaTauri is currently in third, thanks to Mono and Puppy's joint efforts this season. Pretty good matchup, those two. So maybe that's what we'll do when we've got some spare time. Let's go through and I'll give you kind of a rating of the drivers for the whole season of how they've been. So Gavlar, he needs to obviously a week from hell for him last week, so he's going to be hoping for a much better week going forward. Durant, very good driver, very talented at times. Just consistency. So maybe that's what Durant does need, is consistency. Obviously he's got the car because his teammate is currently leading the Drivers' Championship. behind him. But of course, it's an understanding of the cars and exactly how to get the maximum out of it that Gavlar seems to be pushing out of. So moving on to McLaren. So Tristan, a very mixed bag of a season for him. Started out quite strong, but as late hasn't been able to match Gavlar. Even with Gavlar's poor performance last week, it was Tristan's chance to really capitalise and try and lead that driver, or win the battle for the Drivers' Championship. Unfortunately, that didn't happen last week. Of course, his teammate Toon Fan, so very talented driver. Been a bad week for him last week, and he's been on form recently as well, so hopefully we'll see Toon Fan materialise back to the front of the grid. We've seen how much pretty good he is around Silverstone from some of the other events he's in. Puppy, been a tough week for him, getting himself involved in WNR. He's obviously apologised to those involved, and no further action being taken against him, so hopefully Puppy can put himself behind that. But yeah, what's always a driver just seems to keep himself to himself on the racetrack. You don't really mention him very much because he seems to like to drive his own quiet races, but he constantly gets points. And he's doing, that's one of the reasons why AlphaTauri are doing so well this season in the Constructors' Championship. Moving on to Alfa Romeo, so Super Steve really could have been driving the day last week. I thought he was going to get his first win. It really wasn't to be on the streets of Austria. Big shame for him. Obviously scrapping with Toon Fan last week, and that was a huge shame for him. But hopefully it will come good for Super Steve at some point. I did say to myself, it's going to come good for you, though. You just need to wait. So, is this going to be Super Steve's week? Of course, fingers crossed for him as ever. So, Taylor Mackenzie. Again, actually quite a new driver, and did shock me with his performance in the last few weeks. He's been pretty much on the pace, which is obviously really, really good to see. Of course, the Alphas were running 1 and 2, with Taylor making his first, well, he's leading the race actually for a point because the Alphas were fighting, so good performance from him. Overall, definitely my driver of the day last week, the performance that he put in. A race victory was on the table, but it just wasn't to be for him. So Jack, moving on to Renault, we've got Jack Blum. Now Jack's again one of these drivers, a bit like Puppy, that sits in the middle of the field and just rides out the waves and just has his own little race to himself and just doesn't really cause the amount of problems. So again, all he basically needs is consistency. Jack does have a couple of incidents, unfortunately, this year. It's more issues of him not crashing into other people. But hopefully Jack can get that ironed out and get maximum points for his team. Of course, his teammate at Renault is Devil's Nightmare. Very, very good week actually for him off the WNR, when he basically drove the wheels off his car in Wednesday night racing, might I add. So are we going to see more of the same from him tonight? Of course, moving on to Ferrari, we have Clayton and Colour White. So Clayton, a relatively new driver, and just trying to make a name for himself in this league. That's what it's all about. It's trying to make a name for yourself in these events. Just trying to put obviously yourself on the map, on the radar, and just, even though he's joined late in bronze, he still wants to be able to get his name known, especially for maybe moving up the leagues. Colour White, again, very, very new driver. We have seen him on track quite a lot towards of course, scoring some good points as well, Colour White, in the last 2 races. So hopefully he can put the Ferrari back on to more points tonight. And finally, Haas, the Lone Ranger out there, is AVF Lewis, which I'm going to be referring to as Lewis 82, just because it's easier to pronounce. So a new driver again. He's not someone I'm massively familiar with. I have seen him in the points a couple of times this season, so hopefully some more consistency from him, and hopefully we won't even see him on the podium in these lone running Haas car. So those are the drivers that we are expecting tonight, the 13 of them, and hopefully there'll be many more next week to come as well. So we're waiting on invites to go out. We were told that would be a bit of a delay, and potentially 8:15. So we've got 10 minutes, hopefully, fingers crossed. This does feel a bit like free practice, unfortunately, but hopefully it will be not too much longer. But we have to wait for the qualifying session to begin. And now we are receiving invites, so that is a good sign. So invites are out, and hope that is a good sign that we could potentially be getting the qualifying session underway very shortly. So let's go live to Silverstone. And you have to see on your screens very, very shortly. Of the drivers getting together. It's saying an error as a code, so I'm going to be asking for another invite. Don't you just love technology? It's absolute finest. And now I am not. Now we do have some free time on our hands. Let's just have a quick look at some of these. It does look like in this game they've done some updating actually on that Mercedes, because if you look at the wing mirrors there, it does look like they've done some sort of update on them. I don't remember seeing them in game. And plus you can see underneath the CrowdStrike emblem there seems to be more coloration actually on the rear wing as well, all the way around. So it seems like it's updates from the developers at Codemasters. I'm just wondering what it actually is. If we look really closely at the Ferrari, that white circle, of course that would be the refiller. Just while I wait for an invite, just spinning through some Formula 1 cars. That McLaren does look dashing. If anyone actually wondered what these stars are on that McLaren, is actually for Carlos Sainz, one of his friends, and actually sponsor that got him into Formula 1, died, and he chose to keep the star. You can see the star on the side pod there, in remembrance for his friend, and that's the reason why there is a star on Carlos Sainz's race car, if anyone's ever wondered that. And apologies for any viewers watching, we're having technical difficulties with PSN. That's the reason why there's a delay. We should be racing by now, and we're just trying to get those issues sorted. So for the time being, I'm going to take a short break and be back to you as soon as we get an update. And good evening, we're back, and as you can see, we have got a lobby to go through, so we have made some progress in the back, making sure I'm in spectator mode as well. If anyone was watching a couple of weeks ago, it might have been my fault of jumping into a car at Azerbaijan when I was talking you all through it, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. So having a look, how many drivers do we have currently waiting on? Well, there's 8, and if there's 8 drivers, it means that everyone's going to get points. So that's probably the most positive way of thinking about it, in all fairness. And of course, maybe going back to the times of the gold and bronze, when I first started, obviously, commentating for everyone out there, where it was 10 for gold and 10 for bronze. Maybe we'll see, hopefully more than the 10. And of course the league's always trying to invite more people in on them. Now interestingly, it's showing full car setups, and normally of course in the FNR Bronze series it is fixed setups, and realistically around Silverstone we'll be looking at preset 4, which is one off the lowest downforce, or one of the highest possible speed in the setup. And for any drivers that just can't risk it, maybe they apply to preset 3, but realistically it's all about, Silverstone's all about the straights, with that complex of Beckett's, Maggots and Chapel just going through. I'm getting excited even talking about it now for Silverstone. I'm not even there in real life. So I was waiting for everyone to get into the lobby, and hopefully then we can get racing. Now it has been a bit of a common theme today. Obviously everyone's been watching the practices of Formula 1. It's a shame we've not seen a single car around the Nürburgring. Waiting 7 years, was it 8 years for the Nürburgring to come back to the calendar, and yet unfortunately we're to see, after 3 hours of practice, we get to see a single car drive out. Which is a shame really, because you think, and obviously the reason officially from the FIA was that helicopters were unable to fly in the conditions and land. That was the reason that Ted Kravitz gave, and that would have been fine if you was able to drive to the nearest hospital within 20 minutes, but because the nearest hospital was 45 minutes away, that's the reason why they're stating that it was for safety reasons. And of course no one actually wanted to see emergency helicopters used for medical purposes for drivers, but of course after the events in Formula 1 over the last 30 years, we've also lost quite a few drivers in testing and in racing, so it better be safe than sorry. But obviously luckily to say that Formula 1 cars these days are much safer than they were decades ago. So Silverstone, of course, this is the new layout. I believe it's 5. I believe times Silverstone has been changed in one way, shape or form from the World War II Air Force base that it once was, or airport that it once was. And of course the track has been cut apart and redesigned in the 90s, again in the 2000s, and we're up to now the state-of-the-art facility that Silverstone has to offer. But I will say, having walked through the old bridge and the old corner of Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher hitting each other in 1995, it still feels like a proper racetrack. They haven't got rid of the tarmac. You can actually walk on that corner where Hill and Schumacher did collide in 1995 at Silverstone. No gravel traps, it's a fan base now. And of course the old pit lane there as well. I saw it with my own 2 eyes being at Silverstone last year and cheering Lewis on. So time now is 8:16, so we are expecting qualifying hopefully to start within the next few minutes. We're still waiting for some drivers to sort out their internet issues they've been having. And hopefully it means we can start very soon for RRC's Friday night bronze event. And for what I can see, it looks like we are waiting on 2 drivers for bronze, for Devil's Nightmare and Colour White to get into the field. So hopefully the extra time has meant that they are able to join. Now, so we do have some spare time. Of course, you've got, guys, I was saying earlier, Gavlar really has a point to prove today after poor performance last week. In the last couple of weeks, in fact, Gavlar really hasn't been on top of his stride. Of course, still leading the Drivers' Championship, and maybe it is his week to come back through. Super Steve has now obviously got used to that winning feeling of leading the Austrian Grand Prix for so long and denied right at the end, finishing second or third on the road. So it was all his to win, and of course, unfortunately, he lost out last week. Dr. Lemon's in the field. Now, that's not a name I didn't expect to see tonight. Dr. Lemon's in the Mercedes. So, Dr. Lemon's racing in the WNR series as well. He reminds me very much of a young Max Verstappen, as does Dr. Lemon's. One of these drivers that, when you watch his onboard, he just keeps his line, and that's where he stays on it. So he has got some obviously learning to do and picking up to do in the years ahead of online racing. But he's in pretty good Dr. Lemons this year. Unfortunately, on the wrong end of some incidents that has got him a bit of a bad name for himself. But again, we've all been there once. We've all had collisions we seem to want to forget. So hopefully we'll see Dr. Lemons mature in the common races and get some decent points for himself and the teams that he's racing for. And now we can see some drivers getting ready up. So it looks like we are going to be going live to Silverstone, to the garages, to see the bronze event begin. 18-minute session coming up. Now, for Silverstone, again, we are expecting a one-stop strategy because of the long pit lane. Of course, the tyres much harder around here, as of course we saw in the 2 Formula 1 races around here, with Lewis Hamilton coming home with just 3 tyres, completely inflated on his car. Valtteri Bottas, of course, having a punch of the previous lap. This is an absolute killer for tyres. It's all about how much you can get out of those tight twisting corners, the long flowing corners I should say, to be able to get the maximum speed on that car. It's all gone silent, and we are now waiting for qualifying to begin, the 18-minute session, which hopefully will begin shortly, and it does. So we have a green light out there in the pit lane. That means that qualifying finally has begun, and we will be seeing a Formula 1 car in one way, shape or form out there. Now, is it going to rain as well after last week? That was with the conditions. We've only got 8 runners, so hopefully we're going to get more drivers very soon. So who is going to be the first driver out? They're all showing us in the pit lane. We'll try and get some telemetry footage. We have a car out on track. We do have a car out. And it is Super Steve we're just talking about, of course, from last week. Trying to give it as much as he possibly can as he comes out the pitch. Doesn't want to start his week, his day off too badly with putting it in the wall there. So Super Steve, the first car out. We've got Gavlar out as well on the soft tyre. Now, it's going to be a gamble, but do you go for the medium tyre around here? So we've got Steve and the Gavlar currently on track out of the 8 drivers, and Mono as well. So that's 3 out of the 8, 4 in fact, as Jack Blum comes out as well. And so I said Batrishin comes out as well. So We'll try and follow Super Steve, who's the first driver out there, just to see what sort of a lap he can do. Gavlar will be second in the line. You can see the Haas as well out there. There's a sole Haas out there today. Now this is gorgeous. Let's have a quick look and just see what Steve can do with this. This is hot lap. Open to DRS. Actually, no, pardon this, won't be. This will be the hanger straight. This is not his hot lap. He's just building up to it. The DRS completely opens. He's going to the Stowe corner. Taking a lot of curve there on the left-hand side, Steve. Just needs to be nice and careful with it as he comes into the last corner. Throwing the car through the last corner at Silverstone as he just started his hot lap. Taking a lot of curves, very easy to get a penalty there as you prepare for the braking zone of a 100 metre ball. That was pretty good, it looked like. Try and keep over there, splash of gas. Second gear, and it's about how you get out of this corner affects your DRS and your overall speed at the end of the straight. That seems to be alright. As now we'll follow Gavlar, trying to do exactly the same thing. But he just braked to turn one. That just seems so much smoother than Super Steve's. As we were just watching Gavlar, it does seem to be a little bit softer as Steve needing to brake coming into Cops corner there as he prepares for Maggotts, Beckett and Chappell. We'll disregard that yellow flag because in sector 3 it's most likely drivers trying to get out of the way of each other, and this is the all-important hanger straight. You can see the Haas in the background following him around. The DRS flat closes for Super Steve as he comes into sector 3. He will go provisional pole position as Mono goes provisional pole 127.1. Super Steve goes second, 7 tenths down. Gavlar's next up. Jack Blum goes third. He's 7 tenths down. There's 4,000 between Super Steve and Jack Blum between second and third place. What can Gavlar do? It's the end of his quick lap. Currently Mono on provisional pole position. 7 tenths on Super Steve and Jack Blum. Well, Gavlar just goes second, but that's 4 thousandths down. You couldn't get more closer than that if you tried. So, advantage Mono on the first attempt. Tristan and Toon in the McLarens opting for the medium tyre. Especially looking up, getting a bit of space as well between the two McLarens. I think they might as well pit for the softs. Tristan decided to stay out there. It's a fantastic lap for Mono, a 27.1. Now this guy has massively improved in the qualifying sessions. As you can see, Tristan there just running out of ERS. He's 5th fastest. It's not going to be good enough. You have to go again. Team fan, what does he do? He's either not on a lap or had his lap disqualified for touching the curb. Dr. Lemon's on track. Now, can he put the cat amongst the pigeons here, Dr. Lemon's? He is not on he's just starting his fast lap, as Durant is the only car to remain in the pit lane. Toon and Dr. Lemons yet to set a lap as well. As you can see, Dr. Lemons is on his lap. Coming down to the hanger straight now, preparing for Stone corner, keeping it to the left. Let's wait for his brake. How much he brakes. Oh, it needs to be one fluid motion there, Dr. Lemons. It's a very different technique, maybe. Oh, as he just struggles with the car, Mercedes. Running out of DRS, and fantastic lap from Dr. Lemons. He goes 6 tenths down, he goes 3rd fastest. He does put the cat amongst the pigeons. As we will now ride on with Toon, that seems to be going again. Is he on the lap? He decides to come in, as we say that, so he has not yet set a time. We can only guess that he's going to be for cutting a corner. Tristan does improve. He is still 6th fastest, 1.2 seconds down, and I think he has just run out of gasoline. He's very low, but maybe he's just trying to conserve everything. So the current pole man is still Mono with a lap of 127.117. He's fastest. Gavlar second less than 5 thousandths of a second. 49 thousandths of a second down on Mono's current provisional pole lap. Dr. Lemons is third. He's 6/10 back. Then we've got Super Steve and Jack Blum. There's a 10th between those three of them. Tristan is down in 6th. He's the only driver to set a lap on the medium tyres. The 5 drivers ahead of him have all set one on softs. Durant has decided to come out as well, making an appearance in the sister Red Bull. Currently on the medium tyre, so there seems to be a jump between, as you can see, Durant taking all of the curve and more there. Just going to listen to see how much he breaks off into the bottom of Hanger Straight into Stowe Corner, just for reference. Well, that wasn't too bad from Durant. 100-metre ball is where you're going to be getting off the gas there, not too much, and then straight back onto the gas again as he comes into the last corner. And Durant goes onto a fast lap. Commentator's curse there from Durant, thank you very much for catching me out there. I thought he was in a fast lap, he clearly was not. Mono is not happy with his 27.1. We have just under 10 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, as Mono is out again, not happy with 1 minute 27.117. It's current pole position time, provisional pole position time. He's got 49 thousandths of a second over Gavlar, which is less than a blink of an eye. As what can Mono do? We did miss his first lap. We'll stay with Mono for the time being. He is He's the only one, it looks like, or the fastest guy out there on the soft tyre anyway. So late on the brakes there for Mono. Oh, just holding on to it to go past the old pits. Now to go to the cops. So easy to get yourself a penalty there in the race in qualifying, or just delete your lap, unfortunately. And it seems like that's what's happened to Toon Fan. So pardon me as I take some water down there, my water break. So Mono really picked it up. He has won races this year in FNR Bronze, and including maturing as a driver. I think after speaking to him, the biggest part of his game change has been qualifying, as he decides to come in and abort that lap. The biggest part of Mono's game change this year has definitely been qualifying. He's been absolutely acing it in the qualifying sessions. Just not had the luck in the race itself. But for the moment, Mono doing everything absolutely perfectly today. He's putting it on provisional pole position. We have just under 8 minutes to go in qualifying. We're riding with Durant as he decides to go and cut some grass down the bottom of Hanger Straits. He's definitely not going to help himself there, and the DRS is not open either. So he seems to have eaten up all his ERS and decides to pit. Has someone taken out the bollard there on the entrance to the pit lane? It did look very, very much like that. As we have got just over 7 minutes to go. Super Steve coming in. He hasn't improved in his lap time. He still is running currently P4. Jack. Now what can Jack do? Be riding him in the hat. Oh, too wide from Jack. some strange reason not riding in the Renault today. And as you can see, Jack deciding to pit there and take some barrier with him as well. Well, talk about taking a souvenir home with you. I think Jack wants to take part of the Silverstone barrier with him by the bits of things. Yeah. So, for some strange reason, Jack deciding to join Haas for the weekend. Now, haven't heard of him having a break-up with Renault or having an issue. He wouldn't be the first team to have a problem with Renault, though. Or Renault engines. As you can see, Tristan trying to improve. Now going for the soft tyre. Made up, but he should have done all along and not gone out on the mediums. So still 2 drivers out of the 8 yet to set times. As you can see, Tristan preparing for what will be a fast lap. Super Steve, Jack Blum, and Toon Fan also. Toon Fan still in, so Tristan is actually the only car, or Andrew, the only 2 cars out there on the track right now. With just over 5 minutes to go, so this is the time now when the drivers want to be in, because they will get another go at this qualifying session. So Tristan maybe has left it a bit too late. It's maybe his only opportunity to get a fast lap in. A lot of curve there as he goes round village. Mono is on track as well. He's going for 3 runs. Very wise thinking there for Mono. His time deliberate today has been on point. You have to say, to be able to make 3 runs. Gavlar is coming out as well. They are going early. We'll try and stay with Tristan because it doesn't look like that Mono or Gavlar are on fast laps currently, having only just come out of the pits. Now an early shift there from Tristan, you can see that coming down the pit lane. That all cost him time for short. Holding it, so nearly making a mistake on the exit. Well, it wasn't perfect from Tristan. I think it's going to be the lap though, and he's unsteady coming around the last corner. Tristan goes. He stays 6th fastest, so he couldn't improve on the soft tyre. He'll have to go for another lap. It just wasn't good enough there from Tristan. He hasn't improved on his medium run. Mono now out there on the soft tyre, doing 3 runs. What has he got in his Alpha Tauri today? There we go, so smooth coming out of the last corner there from Mono, taking more of the curb. Does Mono improve? He does! 126.658. Fantastic that for Mono. He gets 5 tenths faster than Gavlar. Gavlar, of course, can't improve. That means Dr. Lemons goes down to a second. So there's a second between the first and second rows. Mighty lap for Mono. That's a second fantastic lap he's done in a week. So Gavlar, if he has got the fuel, he'll want to go again. Mono getting out of his way there, as you can see. Tristan will have to go again as well. Can Dr. Lemons do anything to stop, to get himself on the front row? At the moment, starting from row 2, but he's a second back. Toon Fan in the pits. He needs to set a lap time. Super Steve, well, Dr. Lemons won't get another chance of a lap, and that Mercedes seemed to brake very, very early. In my opinion, it was like it just dramatically lost speed. Okay, as we'll go back out into the track. We've got Durant out there, and less than 2 minutes to go, so that's less than a 2-minute warning for the drivers. So are we going to see everyone out? Toon Fan deciding not to come out yet. He's still staying in the... He does now come out. So with 1 minute and 37 seconds on the clock, he will get another run at this. Now, any drivers as Mono is not going to get another chance. Durant is getting off the side of the track. He's coming into the pits. Now, who is going to be the Super Steve can improve? Durant's had enough. Durant is retired from the session, as had Mono. Fantastic lap for Mono, 5/10 quicker than Gavlar for the front row positions. Super Steve wanting to improve as well. Just throwing the car into turn 1. So 45 seconds on the clock. Target time is a 1 minute 26.658. Super Steve is currently 1.2 seconds off that. He needs to improve by 0.2 to put it, or by a tenth and a half, sorry, to get it onto row 2. As Durant has retired, so that's going to be one driver to try and beat. Dr. Lemon still holding on to that P3. Tristan is retired, he can't go any faster. Will stay with Super Steve momentarily. As the checker flag is about to come out, and it does look like Mono is about to claim another pole position around Silverstone, with Gavlar on the front row joining him. But can Super Steve make disrupt that order? Or if not, can he put himself onto the first row, if not the second? Currently on row 3 in P5. Super Steve's got improved just over a tenth to make it onto row 2. And he can't improve, so it does look like it's going to be a pole position for Mono. As any other drivers out there, Jack is 1.2 seconds off. He has got 4 thousandths of a second to improve to beat Super Steve's lap time, to put it 5th on the grid. What does he improve? He doesn't improve. So that's going to be Jack down there in P6. So a confirmation, it looks like, of the order. As Toon Fan, did he quit across the line in time? I think he may have done. We'll stay with Toon Fan just to see where he can put himself. Currently 8th. Can he qualify his teammates? They've been pretty close there at McLaren all season, between him and Tristan. Taking that wide line as he comes into the last corner at Silverstone. Toon Fan, where does he go? He stays in P8. He couldn't improve. It looked like he had his lap disqualified. So he'll have to get a free choice of tyres, surely, because he has yet to set a lap time. So again, congratulations to Mono, a 1 minute 26.658 pole position. Amazingly, 5 cents over Gavlar for the front row. Dr. Lemons will start from 3rd, a second down off of the pole sitter, with Durant 4th, Super Steve 5th, Jack Blum 6th, Tristan 7th, and Toon Fan bringing up the order in 8th place. Well, Toon Fan again with it all to do. And Mono has really put himself in the best possible position there for the English race. But can he convert that pole position into victory? Just waiting for the final calls to run down. And it should take us automatically to the grid. Of course, there'll be a confirmation of what I was speaking about, of Monopolos pole position. Gavlov joining him on the front row of the grid. Dr. Lemon's third, Durant fourth, Superstein fifth, Jack Blum in sixth, Tristan seventh, and Toon Fan eighth. Toon Fan with it all to do, starting from eighth. We know what he's capable of, but he's going to need to keep it on the black stuff today. But what a gap from Mono. What a lap from Mono. The first one was good, the second was even better. The only man who won the 26.6s. The American driver on pole position for the Silverstone FNR Bronze race. So Gavlov's going to put his head down to try and beat him. Can the Welshman win at Silverstone, or is it going to be the American? Will there even be an English driver on the podium? That's, of course, a lot of the drivers went in their home races. There may not even be an English driver on the podium today. And I didn't get a chance to unfortunately look at the weather, so hopefully it is going to be dry. The last thing these drivers want is changeable conditions. It does make it a little bit better for us though in the commentary box. Thinking about last week's race at Austria, how dramatic that was in the middle of the race and how that changed. There's so much to talk about, of course, in the interchangeable conditions. We'll have a look at the sky. It doesn't look fantastic currently, but this is Silverstone we're talking about. Anything is possible. Just waiting on for Jack Blum just to confirm. We go to the grid, and this is the formation lap. Mono getting them away. Only 8 starters. Unfortunately, it looks like there will be just the 8 from qualifying. So Mono, Gavlar, 5 tenths down in qualifying. He's got it all to do today. Dr. Lemons, can he keep hold of that third place? Is he going to be able to do something from row 2? Durant, he's going to be all over Dr. Lemons today, as is Superstein. Superstein, Jack Blum, of course, as mentioned, very, very close in qualifying pace, with Tristan unable to improve, unfortunately, with those soft tyres, by very much starting down there in P7. His teammate, Toon Fan, not even setting a lap, as he'll start from 8th position. So 26 laps of Silverstone to come. We'll join Monopono and we'll stay with him till the end of the formation lap. And onto the grid, of course. So it's looking like a one-stop race. Now, can you make these medium tyres work? If there's an incident towards the start, I don't think that the hards are going to be able to go. So if there is an early safety car, don't expect to see everyone jump for the pit lane. It's all about tyre deg here, as Mono just trying to warm his tyres up into sector 3. Oh, and getting off there, allowing Dr. Lemons to pass him, which I don't think he'd be very happy about. He did drive straight through him though. So Dr. Lemons more than eager to get on with the race. Here we go. Now they are all coming into position. They are all in position. We're waiting for the lights. What can Mono do for pole position? Or is Gavlar going to steal it? 1 red light, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the British Grand Prix is go now! That's a good start for Mono, and just look at that! As we can see, Gavlar trying it as well. Is he going to shut the door into turn 1? He does. Dr. Lemons on the outside. Dr. Lemons goes into P2. Fantastic start from him. You got Superstein up there in position as well. He was a driver moving across. As you can just see, Dr. Lemons just putting the car from left to right. So Mono made a fantastic start. We're looking at this lap 11 it could be for the medium tyre. As you can see, Mono getting away fantastically well. You got Dr. Lemons in P2. Good start from him, making up a position. You got Gablar currently third. Super Steve over the back of him in fourth. Durant fifth. Toonfan is up by 2 places. Then you got Tristan and you got Jack Blunt bringing up the rear in 8th place. Well, so Mono now just needs to get his head into the game and just get away is what he needs to do. So their confirmation, as you can see. So the winners and losers of that start. Mono, fantastic start from him. Dr. Lemons, very good start from him as well. Managing to get past Gavlar. So Gavlar, unfortunately, the big loser in that fast, as he's about to try and get the position back of Dr. Lemons. Dr. Lemons defending there as they go down the hammer straight, and unfortunately, he unable to do anything about Gavlar. Gavlar back up to P2. Super Steve up a position and decided to pit. That's going to be an early position change. Very early, no safety car, 5-second penalty, and unfortunately it looks like Super Steve's day goes from bad to worse. He was doing so well. Gavlar leads! He's got past Mono, we missed it. I know he hasn't. Apologies. I wish that would stop happening, I really do. It's so easy to make a mistake there. As Mono is showing in 8th position, he's not, he's leading this race. You've got Gavlar down there in P2, and Super Steve is going to be kicking himself. He's not just pitted on lap 2, but he's also come in, and it has cost him dearly. We're going to try and ignore the fact of what everything is saying. It's Tristan as well, opting to go for the medium tyre. Maybe there was damage to the car, and that's the reason why. Mono holding on to this lead, as we'll try and get confirmation of this. You can see the gap. You can see how close Gavlar is there. As Mono does seem to be out of ERS. This is the view that Gavlar can see. The flashing dot in front of us is of Mono's car. It's saying 1.1 seconds. It looks closer than that. Gavlar was 5 tenths down in the qualifying session. Dr. Lemons was electric off that grid, and it just seemed to have got in there. As you can see, Dr. Lemons now falling back a little bit. Gavlar was the fastest lap of this race, on minute 31.1 on those soft tyres. Now, I mean, in race trim, Gavlar, I think, maybe has the edge over Mono. Mono's qualifying has been his forte this year. He's been fantastic in qualifying. And Gavlar really just trying, the championship leader, trying to get his rhythm back on. He does get into DRS range. He's not going to have a look at Mono this lap. As you can see, Toonfan has seemed to have, he's in. And that front wing looked alright to me, but he's come in on lap 3 for hard tyres. It might be a bit of a strange move. Maybe he did have damage, and the reason why he's pitted will stay with the front 2 that seems to be pulling away. Dr. Lemons doing his utmost to stay with them. The gap in the last lap. Mono gets himself a 3-second penalty. Now that will take away the lead of the race, theoretically. So Gavlar does now lead on time third. So actually, in fact, it'll mean Mono goes down to P3. On the track, he's currently leading. He's not in reality. He's actually third. Gavlar is in the lead with time taken into consideration. Dr. Lemons second. Mono will be third overall. And Mono is going to need to try and do something about that. You've got Durant trying to launch an attack as well on Dr. Lemons in P4 in the sister Red Bull to make it a Red Bull 1, 2, 3. Or Red Bull owned cars 1, 2 and 3, I should say. As Mono now, he just needs to keep his cool. The long 26 lap race here. Toonfan gets himself a 3-second time penalty. It's not looking like his day. Gavlar in 4 tenths going to bite his time. He knows Mono's going to have a penalty. He's not going to be able to serve it in the pit lane. It's 3 seconds that Mono currently has. The gap is 5 tenths of a second. If we look back, you can see it's the battle for third position. There's Durant As now Jack Blum seems to get himself up there into P5. Super Steve has fallen back after his pit stop. Tristan in 7th and Toon Fan bringing up the rear in 8th. Really not having a good day is a Toon Fan. As you can see, the gap for the lead is still 0.5 of a second. Mono's going to have to think about blocking in here. As we go a bit further down the order, Dr. Lemons going to be blocking off Durant. Durant just not close enough, as you can see. Gavlar has got it down to 4.6 of a second. As we was riding on board with him momentarily there. For Gavlar, it's down to 0.4. Super Steve and Jack Blum, it looks like we've swapped positions. So Jack having his own quiet race there in P5 in the Haas. Tristan gets himself a 3-second time penalty, which it really goes from bad to worse for McLaren. The current leaders in the Constructors' Championship really not able to harness and a home race for both drivers here. As Gavlar just sneaking closely. Toon Fan has the fastest lap of the race on the hard tyre. That just goes to show how much these hard tyres are soft tyres are going off so quickly. Of course, we're on lap 5. The tyres have done another 3 laps, so it's 8 laps. These tyres have done. Lap 11, we're expecting to see drivers coming in, and Toon Fan is going to try and close the gap in P8 to his teammate, and you can see the move there. It seemed like Mono just let him go. Was there an issue there with the AlphaTauri? He just seemed to get out of the way of Gavlar. Maybe a mistake there for Mono. He let that position go far too easily. But can he stay with him in the DRS? Was that a tactical move there from Mono in the AlphaTauri to allow Gavlar to take the lead? Oh, and that was very close across those curbs. Jack is currently in the box. That front wing looks damaged to me. It looks like his hat has been off the road. Maybe that's the reason for the early stop. Is his car going 37 miles an hour? It just wrinkles down the straight. No, there's no front wing change and no wing issues there for the Haas. It looked like on my screen there was an issue with the front wing, as Toon Fan does the fastest lap of the race again. As you can see, that was a battle there for overall 3rd position, with Durant in the sister Red Bull. We've got one lead in the race. We've got one down there in P4, attempting to get a podium place. He's likely to get a penalty doing that. He's going to have a look here at Dr. Lemons. We know what Dr. Lemons is like with defending. As we go through the village complex, down the Wellington Straight. And this is where Durant's going to want to have a look. Dr. Lemons goes once. He can only move once. And he does get the move done. It was at the bottom of the Hangar Straight instead, so not the Wellington Straight, apologies. So Dr. Lemon's down there to P4. Good bit of driving by the both of them not to have an accident. So Gavlar currently leading, Mono 2nd, Gavlar 3rd. Oh sorry, Durant 3rd. Dr. Lemon's in 4th, Super Steve's 5th. Toon Fan picking his pace up there, he's 6th. Jack Blum is 7th, and Tristan down there in P8. Now, a long way to go. Now, the big gap, you've got the first 4 relatively close to each other. Then you've got Super Steve. He's the first guy that's pitted. That's the reason why Dr. Lemons gets himself a 3-second penalty. And there's an incident. Check that. That's the reason why Dr. Lemons has gone off. And taking home a souvenir. Now, it's a good job he did have that big lead over Super Steve, because Super Steve has pitted, and Dr. Lemon's really trying to hold on to that car. Have the tyres gone? Is that what it is? Well, if it is the tyres, Dr. Lemons has got half the lap to go. Big shame from him. He was as high as running P2 today. We're seeing another level of maturity from him. He's used up all his ERS as well. Just needs to focus a little bit more, Dr. Lemon, to see him through this race. As we go back to the battle for the lead. We can see Gavlar, then we've got Mono. They are separated within 0.8 of a second. We might need to try and find out later exactly what Mono was thinking. He just seemed to allow Gavlar past him as he was going down the hangar straight. He does, or is there some sort of issue with the car for the reason why I've been letting him pass so simply? He has got him within DRS range though. Gap down to 8.10, so you can see the DRS open as we go down the Wellington Straight. He's never going to be able, never up the sun, he's going to have a look in there. He didn't even move to attack. This is the place now, he needs to get close to Gavlar as we go down the old start-finish stretch. Toonfan up to P4. If he can get a podium today, that's going to be an awesome drive through the field. The gap for the lead up to 0.8 of a second. So the top three now, it's very close to each other within 6 seconds. There's 1, 2 and 3. Then you've got Toonfan, he's 29 seconds down. As you can see, Super Steve deciding to come in again to the pit lane. Very strange strategy, opting for the hard tyres this time. So very strange strategy going over there at Alfa. At Alfa Romeo. Just think a week ago, this time last week, it was Super Steve leading. Now, unfortunately, he's down there in P8. This goes to show what can happen in a week. The two Alphas leading in Austria. We've got the Red Bull takeover here of Red Bull cars 1, 2 and 3. Mono is right behind Gavlar. He's not going to be able to pass him here. As we look at down the Wellington Straight, Mono just changing something on the car. It's going to be some of his settings. It's ERS or DRS now open. He's not going to be able to get close enough to Gavlar to make a pass here. Very mature driving so far from both of these two. Slowly getting away. You can see Durant trying to hold as much as possible in P3, well-earned P3. You've got Toonfan down there in 4th place, picking it up from starting 8. So he's up 4 positions from the start. He's having a decent race. Unfortunately, he seems to have made a very early pit stop. He's on the hards. I don't think he's going to be able to make it till the end of the race. Maybe one more pit stop needed from him. We've got Jack down there in 5th, so he started. He's on the mediums. He's pitted, I was going to say, sorry, and he's on the medium. Super Steve gets himself another penalty. It's going to be 8 seconds of time penalties. And Dr. Lemons, he's making his attack on Jack Blum. He has pitted, but unfortunately his off-the-road antics has cost him. He was as high as P2 today, and it's a big shame from the Mercedes driver to see him languishing down there in P6 after such a fantastic start earlier. Then you've got Tristan way down there, 14, 15 seconds back in the McLaren as he comes down the old pits in Silverstone. That sky does look pretty dark out there as we are on lap 10. And just to round out the top 8, we've got Super Steve down there right at the end of the field. So you've got 4 seconds behind Tristan. He's got someone to race today. And of course the Super Steve, big upset of course last week. Was only a few laps away from seeing what we thought would be a victory. Tristan and Super Steve having their own battle around the Red Bull ring. The gap now for the lead, as you can see, Durant coming in. So Durant is in. That's the reason why Toonfan goes up to P3. It's the hard tyres for Durant. He's the first of the top 3 to pit. It means Toonfan goes up to P3 on the podium. If he can make this, it will be driver of the day for me, if not Gavlar. We've still got a long way to go. They really have been the 3 best drivers, or the 4 best drivers in fact today, of Gavlar, Mono and Toon. Toon unfortunately didn't do too well in qualifying. We didn't get to see his full pace, having to start from 8th. Maybe the corner cutting has cost him, and that's the reason why he is 35 seconds down. As you can see, the top 2 are pitting. Now, what do you go for? Toonfan giving himself a penalty and Durant, so they've all got penalties now, it looks like. It's going to be the battle for who gets the most penalties. Azerbaijan was the battle for who can make the most front wings. It's going to be soft tyres for Red Bull. No, it's medium tyres for Red Bull. And what do they do at AlphaTauri? It looks like mediums as well. So they're both going for the medium stop. They should come out in the lead. So no position changes there. Gavlar will still get out in the lead. Mono in P2. Toonfan will not be able to catch in P3. They'd already built an unassailable lead, these two. So it was business as usual as Gavlar gets out. He has got himself another penalty, which means that Mono is going to have a more realistic chance of staying with him. Mono, of course, getting himself a penalty very early on in the race and affecting the race order. So it is as it was. Very happy to have caught that. So it looks like, double checking here, it's everyone actually pitted. As you can see now, Dr. Lemon's trying to attack there at Jack Blum. He's going to be so close. Oh, he just couldn't get the gas down there. Could Dr. Lemons perform an attack down the Wellington Straight? And so close to hitting the back there with Jack Blum. As he's wrestling that Mercedes to the absolute depths is what he can do. Goes round the old pit lane and we can see the attack here. The attack on Jack Blum. He thought about it and Dr. Lemons decided to get out of it. And what's that rain we just saw? If it was definitely going to spice up the British Grand Prix. If that was spots of water out there. Further back we can see Tristan and Super Steve. So we'll go back to the battle for 5th place. It's the closest battle off the track and Dr. Lemons is trying to go around the outside of Stowe. That is fantastic driving from Dr. Lemons, making up the position. I think Jack saw that one coming the outside of Stowe corner. Great move from Dr. Lemons, definitely deserving that. Now, next target is going to be Durant for P4. Now, we'll go back to the battle for the lead. Gavlar still in the lead. Mono second. Toonfan up to 3rd place. His gap, he's got 7 seconds down. Is Toonfan in 3rd. The front two are on the better medium tyre though. Toonfan is 3rd and the fastest lap of the race set as well. Currently Durant is in 4th. Dr. Lemons 5th. Jack Blum in 6th. Justin 7th and Super Steve picking up the points from 8th. Luckily we still have all 8 drivers who completed in qualifying seem to be on the race today. A few PSN issues. That's the reason why we're a bit later than what we were. On the Super Steve was 4 thousandths down there, look on his lap time as we are on lap 12. So yeah, PSN issues, that's the reason why we are slightly late. Time has gone 9 o'clock, that's the reason why. So the start of qualifying delayed until for 20 minutes. That's the reason why 20 minutes behind. Gavlar does the fastest lap of the race. Unsurprisingly on the medium tyre. That'd be another welcome point there for Red Bull in his battle for the World Championship. Jack Blum getting himself a 3-second time penalty. That's going to be for cutting chicane Shayna from Jack. That is going to mean that Tristan gets ever closer to him for P6. So the real shaker and maker in this race so far has been Toonfan. So Toonfan started from 8th. He has made up 5 positions from his grid start. At one point, even right at the back of the grid, decided to pit for the hard tyres very early on in the race. We're on lap 13. We're about to come up to the halfway point in this Silverstone race. So really, he has been just listening to the gearbox there of Gavlar, to see what gear he was picking going down the hanger straight. So as we're saying, Toonfan has been on it today. Not fantastic qualifying from him. It seems to have made a mistake in qualifying. That's the reason why he didn't set a lap. That's the reason why he started from 8th. Dr. Lemon's getting himself a 3-second time penalty after we just saw his move on Jack Blum at the outside of Stowe corner. Now, can Mono, he seems to be just retracting back a little bit. The gap up to 1.6 seconds. He is falling behind slightly. He doesn't seem to be liking these medium marked tyres as much as the softs. And where has his advantage gone from qualifying 5 tenths quicker than Gavlar in qualifying? And it does seem like Mono has been beaten here today. Now, crucially, are these tyres going to hold on? We're on lap 14 now in Silverstone of 26, so just over it's under half the race to go. Will these mediums last till the end? Of course, Team Fan starting, or say pitting, very early on the hards. Let's try and find out actually what position so he's actually done 10 laps. It was lap 4 that he came in on. Lap 4, I think that's going to be far too long to be able to make it till the end of the race. Other drivers there, who's that? So Jack is going to have to stop again, surely, on the in P6. He's going to need to stop again. In fact, you can see them all stopping again. That soft tyre just not making it to the halfway point. Let's remove the map quickly. There's no need for that to be around. Toon Fan, that was a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Some of these drivers just getting on it and just risking the penalty, thinking that they're going to be able to make it up at the end of the race anyway. I'm very much of the belief of not getting time penalties added to my race. As you can just see the McLaren sliding there as it comes into the first sector, taking all the curb and more. The gap for the lead, we're not watching, is currently 1.4 seconds. Gavlar leading it, Mono second, who are racing with Team Fan, who is currently in P3. Quite a mature drive from him, but it's all going to be about how long can these tyres last for. Durant down there in the sister Red Bull, he was on for a podium. He seems to be catching Toon Fan slowly but surely. As you can see him racing there, Mono gets himself another time penalty for cutting corners. That really won't help his stay today as a driver off. And who is it? It's Jack Blum. So he currently remains in 6th. He has got time penalties. You can see Tristan there coming into the last corner, getting really off the curb there. The old last corner, I should say, as he gets ready for Beckett's, for Beckett's and Chapel. Oh, running out of road there. As he approaches the hanger straight, that's going to help Tristan. Tristan's going to be all over the back of him. You can just see him in the distance there. Jack, that is the gap. It's saying 2.9 seconds. We didn't see the reason why Jack Blum has lost it, but unfortunately he has lost a lot of time. He didn't lose a position in that spin, but he's lost a lot of time, and it's going to put Tristan all over the back of him in the next few laps. The gap for the lead is got up to 2.2 seconds as Gavlar extends his advantage over Mono. Where is the pace gone as Tristan gets himself a 3-second time penalty for touching curbs? So that is the question. As you can see, Tristan getting ever closer to the back of the house, and he's just making his own mistakes there. Big shame there from Jack, and it does look like Tristan's all over the back of him. This is not where you want to be making these kind of moves. Jack closing the door slightly as he cut to the old chicane. Is Tristan going to go for it? It's a block there from Jack Blum. He seems to be really struggling with the car. Maybe it's the tyres. He goes way off line. Comes back onto the line. He's defending as much as he possibly can. He knows Tristan's there. And Jack losing it. Tristan had to get out of that one or risk hitting the back of the car. The back of the house. We've got DRS here down the hanger straight. And it is going to be a passing move. So Jack goes down to P7, shame for him. It was all about the DRS. You can see the hash struggling on these medium tyres. Is it the tyres that have gone? Because he is really struggling with those tyres. They've done 9 laps to medium, so maybe that's the reason why. As now Super Steve will be putting his sights on Jack Blum for 7th place. Jack getting himself another time penalty, surely at risk here of being suspended from the race, getting close to Tristan. This is where he struggled the last lap, of course. Now, really, Jack should be all over Tristan on the better tyres here. As the gap for the lead goes up to 2.3 seconds, Gavlar really pulling away. Will stay in this gap momentarily because it's the closest gap actually on the track right now. It's the battle for 6th place between Tristan, Jack and Super Steve for 6th, 7th and 8th place. And Super Steve trying to join the party here on the hard tyre. Again, big shame for him last week. Mono gets himself another time penalty. Who is that losing it in the first sector? I couldn't see who it was. No massive gains will stay with this battle. It is the closest battle on the track right now. They have it all to do. We'll now go and move on to Toonfan. He's currently running in 3rd position. He stayed relatively close on those hard tyres to Gavlar Mono ahead of him. The gap is 10 seconds. He's got 5 seconds behind Mono, so he's gradually catching Mono. The gap was as high as 6-7 seconds after they pitted. So Gavlar seems to have pulled away here. Jack gets himself another penalty. That's going to be sure risk of disqualification if he keeps up. I'm losing count at a cricket score of how many penalties everyone's got today. And on a track you really wouldn't expect too many penalties. The sky does look pretty black. And who is that? It's Jack Blum. So he's lost it. His day does get worse. So bad to worse for Jack, and he spun it again. He spun it trying to restart. I've done that myself so many times. And he spun it again and again. He's doing donuts on the racetrack. I think he's just annoyed now. The tyres are going to be all over the place with temperatures. He can't control the car currently. Big shame for Jack Blum, down to PA. The donuts on the track wouldn't have helped his tyre grip. He's going to lose it in there as well. He's going to have to come into the pits. Toonfan moves up to P2 as Mono decides it's time to pit. So the mediums weren't going to hold out long enough. That's the reason why he's fallen down. Toonfan does take P2 momentarily, but he's going to have to stop again, surely. So the gap for the lead is currently 10 seconds. When does Mono come out? He's going to be the first driver. Dr. Lemons, he stopped, so he knows that he can make it till the end. Is this Jack Blum off again? It is, on his battle to try and make it back home to the pits. This is like Jack's adventures. How many more adventures is he going to have? He's got 3 corners to go, Jack, to be able to make it home to the pits, to surely change tyres. Is he going to have any more adventures? Hopefully not, for his own sake. He's having more adventures, he's taking curves, and I think he's just going to speed into the pit. Now that seemed like a dramatic change of distance. To me, it's a second driver we've seen there, so potentially with an assist on. Now, what tyres does Jack go on to? Apologies, I was managing to kill a mosquito there in my commentary box. Going for he's broken the front wing, that's the reason why he's coming as well. The apologies there, just managed to kill a mosquito, so one less to manage to get me today. As now, so it's 1 lap less as well, as Jack has been lapped, it looks like. Gavlar has the race all under control. Toonfan in second place. So the current points lead in the championship is leading the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull leading the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull Company 1 and 3 right now. You've got Toonfan unable to do anything about Gavlar. He started from 8th. Super Steve, another time penalty for him. His third, I do believe, third or fourth time penalty today. Durant. Well, these two are going to need to stop again. In fact, the top three are going to need to stop again. So it's all about what can Mono do. So the gap last time we checked was 5 seconds on the track between himself and Gavlar. 5 seconds between himself and Toonfan. So he's got it all to do. So realistically, what can Mono do? We haven't seen Gavlar come in. There's 7 to go. Can the medium and hard tyres last? Toon surely can't make the tyres last. So we're riding with Mono right now. He's rolled the dice. He's got Durant 4.3 seconds ahead. Toonfan's another 9 seconds up the road. Well, he's probably 18 seconds behind Durant. He's then got another 4 seconds to catch Toon, and another 9 seconds after that as Toon himself gets himself a 3-second penalty. So rolling the dice here, as has Dr. Lemons and Jack Blum. So it's all about rolling the dice in the final 6 laps now at Silverstone to see is it going to be worth it. Obviously Mono didn't like those tyres. He has it all to do. Mono does get the fastest lap of the race. 6 to go. Now, we're going to be saying out there, so out of the 3 of them, the one driver you think that basically is going to most likely to need a pit is going to be Toonfan. He's currently in P2. He's got Durant 4 seconds behind him, and then an 18-second gap to Mono, who's rolling the dice in P4. Gavlar came in on the same lap as Mono. Somehow he's managing to hold the tyres. We were seeing Mono's performance drop off there towards the end of that sector, towards the end of the stint on those medium tyres. But it does seem like Gavlar has it under control. 6 to go. I'm sure the Red Bull team, if they could, be telling him just to pace himself. He has got the race under control. But can these medium tyres work as he starts on midway through lap 22? The gap to Toonfan down to 9.2 seconds. It's been as high as 10 seconds. It's down to 9.2 currently. Mono getting himself a 3-second time penalty, which is really not going to help his cause today. Jack Blum does the fastest lap of the race. Go on, Jack. Down there in P8. And where did that place come from, I'd love to know. Have to be careful with fuel. Jack's adventures. Hopefully we see enough adventures for Jack for one day. We can hopefully see him get some crucial points for himself today. Toonfan the third to stay out there. 18 laps on the hard tyre. We've got a spread between medium, hard and soft runners out there. The gap between second and third is 4 seconds. It's really close between second and third place. The gap for the lead has gone down to 8.5, 8.4. So it does look like Gavlar is really backing off. It's down to 8.1 seconds now. So he seems to have lost to a second in basically in less than a lap. He's done 10 laps on the medium tyres. Toonfan gets himself another penalty. He does, though, they do the fast lap of the race, Toonfan, so on the hard tyres, his hard tyres aren't done, and maybe he's thinking now that Mono was not right to roll the dice, losing out on a P2 currently. He went down from P2 to P4, a shame for him, but of course you really have to roll the dice in motorsport. Of course, the guy started from pole position today, Mono. He's currently down there in P4. Toonfan and Durant have taken advantage of that opportunity to jump or to leapfrog him in the pits, of course. But it really isn't paying off here for Mono. Just getting himself a penalty. He's currently down in P5, battling with Super Steve over 5th place. So we'll stay in this battle just for the time being. There's 4 laps to go in Silverstone. We are looking at the battle for 5th place between Tristan and Super Steve. And we'll keep an eye on the gap between Gavlar and Toonfan to see if there's any developments. Now remember these two last week, they were battling for P2, and that ended in tears. So hopefully we won't see any tears today. As we can see, Super Steve getting ready to form an attack on Tristan. As he comes up to Beckett's, Maggots and Chapel, Tristan defending. Super Steve is going to get DRS though over the back of the McLaren. He goes to the left. Tristan's going to stay on the right, going down Hanger Straight. Who's going to blink first, going into Stowe? Tristan does give him the line. Good move from Super Steve. He goes up to P5. That was nearly as good as the move from Dr. Lemons we saw earlier, going on the outside of Stowe Corner. That's been my favourite move today by far. So Super Steve up to P5. Tristan's within the DRS range of him on the hard tyre. On the same hard tyre as well. That's the reason why. Gap for the lead down to 6.1 seconds. Now, so this is not over either. Toon Fan, whatever he's doing with his tyres. So Super Steve getting himself another time penalty. Whatever Toon Fan's doing to his tyres on the hards, I think we can market a bottle of this. Because he's been on those tyres for 20 laps. He has made the hard tyres work. Mono, unfortunately, it does look like rolling the dice today wasn't the best move. This is the closest move on the track, or the closest position for me on the track. Watching between Super Steve and Tristan battling it out to 5th and 6th place. Gap for the lead with a lap and a half to go is down to 5.7 seconds. It was as high as 10 seconds. As you can see, Tristan's about to play that move back from Super Steve. He goes left. Going down the hanger stretch, exactly the same as what Super Steve was doing on the last lap of Tristan. Good move from him. He's back into P5. And Super Steve really isn't done with that. He's going to make the move. Fantastic move there from Super Steve. That would have been expected. And well, Tristan's got this alpha to deal with again. There's 2 laps to go. Is he going to end in tears again? Tristan gets out of it. Going into turn 1, excuse me, and he really had to there. So Super Steve really had the line, he was slightly ahead. Let's hope this doesn't come down to penalties, because the last 2 laps between these two have been epic. Gap for the lead between Gavlor and Toon Fan, down is still remaining at 6.3 seconds. Tristan gets DRS now. It's not going to be enough to be able to get past Super Steve. He has still got the whole of this lap and the next lap to go. Lap 25 and lap 26 to go to form an attack on Super Steve. Is he going to get revenge from last week? Super Steve holding the inside line. Down the gear. Just trying to rev that McLaren highly as much as possible. As we go to the white flag lap for Gavlar. The gap for the lead down to sit at 5.7 seconds. Gavlar started on the soft tyres. He came in, him and Mono managed to pull away from the field. Started on the soft tyres. He came in for the one stop for the mediums. He's made those medium tyres last. We have to say, you can see Toon Fan now right behind him, as you can see Tristan and Super Steve really battling there for 5th and 6th place. We'll join them shortly. It really has been the day though. Gavlar back on top. He was second in qualifying. Really, he was 5 tenths down. We did think that Mono was going to run away with this, but he had the legs on Mono today. He has stayed in, when he got into the lead, he did stay there. He's made those tyres work. Toon Fan getting himself another penalty, gap down to 5 seconds, or 5.2 seconds. It's not going to be enough. Gavlar really taking it easy. He made those medium tyres work. And what a change a week makes as Gavlar's coming into the last sector. Last week really wasn't his week. As the championship leader comes round the last couple of corners, he's back on form. Gavlar wins the British Grand Prix. Toonfan following home in second place is going to be a long time on the penalties. Durant is going to be third, fastest lap of the race for Toonfan. So it's the Red Bull 1-2. They lost out on penalties. What a shame for him. Mono is going to be coming home in fourth. So Toonfan is a Red Bull 1-2. Shame for Mono. Is he going to finish off the podium? It looks like he is. Super Steve and Tristan really battling there in the last couple of corners. It looks like Super Steve is going to get the advantage as he does. So Super Steve fifth. Tristan said, they've got him on the count back. So on the road, Super Steve finishes fifth. Tristan sixth. Tristan does finish fifth though because of less penalties. We have Dr. Lemons finishing as well. So what a race. For me, driver of the day. Good race from Toonfan, really, Mono, and you can see a overjoyed Red Bull team of Red Bull 1-2. Yeah, I think my driver of the day today is going to have to be this man Gavlar, getting away from the upset of last week. He has turned it around. So fantastic for him. He really has outperformed himself today. As now confirmation of that result sees Gavlar leading on points, a maximum points for Gavlar today. Durant in second for confirming a Red Bull 1-2. Toonfan finishing second on the road, third overall after the penalties. 1-4. Shame for him. He would have had a podium if he stayed out. Tristan fifth and Super Steve sixth. Dr. Lemons finishing seventh with Jack Blum bringing it home in eighth place. So driver of the day, Anthony Gavlar. And what a difference a week makes. This time last week, I think Gavlar was running how many mirrors he'd smashed in a previous live for how many months and weeks of bad luck he was having. He's changed it around, he has moved it around, he is back on form and extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship, as do Red Bull with their 1-2, so McLaren with it all to do. And really your heart has to go out there tomorrow. If you had stayed out, it would have been a podium. As the race seems to have come to an end then, and it's of course, apologies, reading some messages there. So that is the end of the British Grand Prix. So join us next week for the Hungarian Grand Prix as FNR Bronze continues. So from myself, Scrappy Doo, and from everyone at RRC Racing Community, thank you very much for watching. Good day and good night. And of course, one last time, a very well done to Gavlar.